So in the last video, we talked about how being perfect is not grounded in morality or grounded in performance. And also in another video, in God is Holy, again, I said that holiness is not based upon morality or on performance either. But rather it's more in a connection with your relationship, your connection with God, right? Now, that doesn't mean that morality isn't important. There is an aspect of God that is solely based on morality, and that is God's righteousness. So God being righteous, this pretty much means that everything that God does is right? Well, not really. Or at least to some people, they don't really believe that everything that God has done is necessarily the right thing to do. Probably the most notable examples is those found in the Old Testament, where you have these genocides, right? Where people say, well, why did God just kill all these people? You know, how is this right? Doesn't he even have a law that says thou shalt not kill? So how is it that he's righteous in breaking his own law and also telling other people to break their law as well? Well, I think that's very important to realize that one of the very first prohibitions in the Bible was when God told Adam and Eve, don't eat from this tree that's in the midst of the garden. If you eat of it, you will die, right? So we obviously see that death was not something that was part of God's original plan. It was something that was a consequence, a result of sin, right? And so when Adam and Eve did sin, obviously a consequence was death, okay? But as I talked about before in the mercy video, right, God provided a substitutionary sacrifice so that they didn't have to die. This other thing, the ram, the sheep, the goat, whatever it was, died in their place, right? So this idea of death is something that is a result of sin, right? Sin leads to death. Someone or something has to die because of sin. And so when we see these massive genocides where people are being killed, we have to realize that it's not just because God just decided to wake up one day and say, you know what, I'm angry, let me go kill some people. No, but it's a result of a constant sin that has not been turned away from or atoned for or forgiven or sacrificed for or whatever, right? There were steps that God put in place, and if those steps were not taken, then obviously the consequence, the justice aspect had to be executed, right? So for example, the first one that we see is in Jonah chapter 6. For example, the first one that we see is in Noah, right? Genesis chapter 6, we have God saying that, look, like, I'm grieved with these people. All their thoughts are evil continually. That's, everything they do is just wicked, right? I need to get rid of this sin problem, okay? And so he tells Noah, look, I'm going to flood the earth, all right? And I need you to build an ark, okay? And I want you to save people, right? People will be saved through this ark. Now, think about it. You have this dude building an ark, right? And the Bible says that it took him over 100 years, okay? Over 100 years. Okay, he's building this ark, and he's preaching and teaching to these other people, saying, look, flood's about to come, repent, turn away, turn to God. For over 100 years, this goes on. And all they do is laugh and mock and make fun of him, right? They don't actually listen, they don't actually care. And so eventually the day comes when, the flood comes. And unfortunately, everyone who was not in the ark died, right? Now, was it necessarily God's fault that they died? Well, not really. I mean, God gave them over 100 years to just turn away from their sin, turn back to God, and to have that communion and harmony with Him again, right? God always extends a period of grace, right? He doesn't just wake up one day and say, okay, I'm angry, let me go on a killing spree. No, He always gives a period of grace. And in every situation that you see, God's grace is always present. Right? Even in Jonah's case, right? Jonah went out and he gave a message that God's going to destroy the Ninevites in 40 days. But the Ninevites, what did they do? They actually repented. They actually turned away from their sins and they turned towards God. And what did God do? God relented from his desire to destroy them because they turned away from their sin. Therefore, he had no reason to destroy them, right? And so God isn't just this bloodthirsty being who's just out there trying to kill people just because, you make a mistake and you sin. But rather, God is just executing judgment and justice as he must because he is a judge, right? You're not just a judge can't just let people get away with things just because he wants to, just because that's just, it's arbitrarily. No, like he has to execute justice. There has to be judgment, right? That's just part of doing the right thing, okay? So when we look at these places in the Bible where we see these genocides, and we think, man, how can God allow this? We have to realize that, sin is like a cancer, right? Like if you don't kill the cancer cells, they're going to start to spread and spread and spread and multiply until it fills the whole body and eventually kills it, right? And so it's either you kill the cancer cells or, the cancer cells kill the body. And so God is saying, look, I'm going to kill the cancer cells because I want to save the body, okay? And so God is not just finding pleasure and joy in this sadistic torturing of people and killing of people, but God is acting very righteously in his judgment because he wants to rid of this sin problem. And to rid of this sin problem is the right thing to do.